Thank you very much for listening to this bit. Claire Marie and I decided we wanted to put the thank you at the very start of this presentation rather than leave it to the end. We recognise that mentorship sits in a lot of people's hearts and has been the focus of a lot of people's work, and we want to acknowledge the great mentorship that is still going on, and a huge thank you to everyone, especially in those practice teams, education teams, and especially members of REPPF who have actually supported us on our journey very, very well. And they are the people who there will be a huge impact in terms of their job and going forward and how that transpires out. So we want to really give a big thank you to those people that have been helping us along the way. To stakeholders, we've had students involved. I see Sinead sitting at the very back of the room there, one of our students at Queen's. And we value all of the opinions and the help and support that's been given to us along this journey. Change is it's not easy. So depending on where you are in your journey in change, you're either there with your fingers in your ears going, this is not happening, or you're at the very end going, okay, we've got there. But the thing for me that's important to remember, I think, is the fact that it's affecting everybody, this change. It's not affecting one person, and we're all in this together, and we really are truly co-producing here and working collaboratively. We're building relationships and talking to people and individuals, and this is me personally, to individuals that I haven't had an opportunity to talk to before. So there's lots of things happening for the good, because sometimes they say change is as good as a rest. Well, I don't think there's anybody on this stage actually that would agree with that, or out there in the room. Sometimes change it's not very restful, but what it is doing is it's giving us a chance to look at things with fresh eyes, look at things and rejuvenate. But it doesn't feel very restful at the minute. Maybe that'll change. There are new rules, and it was a bit at the start, a bit like Guess Who. So I think I played that once or twice when I was a child, but we've got there. I think we've got there. I think we've cracked it. So we have to ditch mentor, the word mentor, and think about practice assessor, practice supervisor, academic assessor, and the nominated person. And these are the new terms and the new words. And so who are these people? Well, the practice supervisor is every registrant. So it's in the code. Every registrant should be able to supervise a student. And not just nursing registrants, but all professional, healthcare professional registrants should be able to take part in this. Practice assessors, who will they be? Well, we've already got a huge, big population there of mentors and sign-off mentors and practice teachers. So they are the practice assessors of the future nurse, future midwife. Academic assessors, who are they? And that caused a few problems because there are a few stipulations within the new standards that make it a bit more difficult and a bit more challenging for universities, because the academic assessor cannot be the same academic assessor for each part of the programme. But it's challenging, but we're devising something that will mean that will not hopefully have an impact. But that will be the link lecturer or the clinical tutor. And the nominated person, after much debate and discussion and much patience from a lot of people in the group, we have recognised that this person should be the ward sister or the clinical sister, charge nurse, or the team leader. And then they will be able to direct whatever the query is that the student might have on to the most suitable person. So that's the new rules really, and where they're sitting. There is a transitioning period, okay? So depending on where you are in that change curve, you're either an elephant going uphill, and it's a real struggle. You're like that little squirrel that's sitting there on the tree going, oh dear, do I have to jump? Do I have to do this? Or else you're that wee goldfish that's decided to do that jump and just go for it. And when I showed that to one of my colleagues, they went, does the fish make it? And I went, of course he does. I hadn't even thought of that one. Thought I haven't got time to look for a fish, and I go, he made it, but of course he does. But depending on where you are on the journey, at certain stages you'll be feeling like that. But it's a journey that we're in it together, okay? To transition, we are going to need training. We have with the help of Joanne and the professional officers, we are looking at training programs to help support people, because there are changes here to the way we are going to deliver supervision and assessment. We've heard Neil talking there about the PAD and how the changes that's going to be. So of course we're all going to need, if we're saying all registrants, of course we're all going to need some sort of level of support and commitment here, and training will be part of that. It will be regional, so it'll include everyone. It'll be accessible for all sectors, so not just the trusts. We will have to remember our independent partners here, and we very much need to have them being able to access this. And it will be a blended approach, because we realise, and I'm sure there's a lot of managers in the room here, that you can't release all staff to go at the same time to do some training. So it has to be a blended approach where you can have some online training, which can be accessed anytime, anywhere, if you like, and some face-to-face for those who prefer that method. And then the other important thing to remember is that we're developing a new curriculum for the future. So part of that curriculum will include supervision and how we train and how we prepare our nurses for the future. So by 2023, the students that are graduating should have a level of supervision training inbuilt within their curriculum, within them. So they should be, I'm not saying they're going to hit the ground running, but they're going to hit your areas with a level of understanding and ability to supervise. Finally, and I suppose most importantly, a practice or an academic assessor and supervisor becomes a permanent source of inspiration and admiration in a student's life. And the keynote speaker today started by saying, the question is, what matters to you? And I'm sure Sinead will back me up on this one, and if there's any other students in the room as well. If you ask a student what matters to them, it's that welcome, that they are made to feel part of that team, part of what was talked about earlier. And that welcome makes them feel inspired, it makes them feel that they belong. And it also, it has a lasting impression, and that they are your workforce for the future. So if you can make a lasting impression on a student, you'll help shape their careers, you give them direction on where they want to go. And this is, where they want to go, midwifery or nursing. And if you take a moment and think, I'm sure every single one of you in the room can think of someone who shaped your decision making and where you were going to go for the future and how you were going to nurse or how you were going to be a midwife. And then this is my opportunity now to really embarrass someone within the room, because one of my mentors, I know I'm so old, but there is a mentor in here, and she'll kill me for this, who was my inspiration, and she was the reason why I decided to go into education, and that's Kathy McCutcheon, who has been running around here all day. She is here, isn't she, somewhere? Yeah. And Kathy was a mentor of mine. That sort of ages you a little bit, but not too much, I hope. But Kathy was my inspiration, and I want to thank you, because you are someone that I've remembered throughout my career, and you changed my career, and that was my final thoughts on supervision and assessment. And I'm going to hand you over to Sharon now.